The standard American diet is something that lots and lots of people are very confused on. People don't actually understand what it is about the standard American diet that's actually creating our epidemic of chronic diseases. A lot of people blame it on meat and saturated fat, which I can understand. Unfortunately, there's some much more significant factors involved that are contributing towards our modern diseases. If you've paid attention to your family members or any average citizen of society, if you go throughout their day, you'll see them drinking 4 to 10 sodas a day. Usually full sugar, sometimes diet, even though diet sodas aren't really that much better for you than regular sodas. But nonetheless, sodas all day. You know, they go to a fast food restaurant, they get themselves some fried potato chips, some fried potatoes, potato fries, some deep fried hamburgers, charboiled hamburgers, heavily salted, everything's super salted. They pour on more salt, drink them up, couple gallons of soda with their meal, and then they're out into the stressful rush hour traffic, work a job they hate, come home, watch some TV, probably hate their husband or their spouse, hopefully not, and then they eat a TV dinner, or they make themselves the dinner from scratch, but using some canned food, some canned products, or some boxed seasoning or something that probably contains monosodium glutamate, excess sodium in general, and a lot of these seasonings contain hydrogenated oils in them. A lot of the meats they eat are pre-seasoned, or they're pre-packaged, or they're frozen, pre-cooked, and they have hydrogenated oils in them. A lot of people don't know that. They eat baked goods all day, hydrogenated oils in these baked goods, processed sugar in these baked goods. And then a lot of people are intolerant to foods and they don't realize it. People drink a lot of milk, they eat a lot of cheese. People don't understand about the casein protein. Not only has it been shown to possibly be carcinogenic, but a lot of people actually have an allergy or an intolerance to this casein protein. And this manifests itself in nasal symptoms, respiratory illness, brain fog, mental illness, all sorts of problems, digestive problems, things that you can't really tell is caused by the dairy. Most people have these problems and it's caused by what they're eating, but they're not even aware of it. Then you have the hot dogs and the packaged meat products that we know are bad. They have sodium nitrates, they're smoked or they're cured. They're a bunch of the scrap meat byproducts that are just grinded up and processed and turned into a little thing that looks like what they call a hot dog. The average American doesn't even have enough time to prepare whole meats like red meat, chicken breasts, etc. Most people are always just grabbing those processed meats and taking them to work, going and getting a fast food burger or some fried chicken or something. I can tell you that for sure. The vast majority of people, they're just working throughout the day. They're not even eating as much meat as most of these health conscious, especially vegans, try to say. Most people are not consuming as much meat as you think. They don't have enough time to do so. It's usually processed meats and fast food. Some kind of snack, chips eating throughout the day. Sodas. Most people don't have enough time. Most people do not eat that much meat. Crazy, but it's true. Also, there's so much so-called healthy foods that's put at our grocery stores, and on the front it says heart healthy, or it even might say like American Heart Association approved, or it might say 0 grams of trans fat or sugar free, and it actually contains hydrogenated oils, or it contains high fructose corn syrup, or it contains a large amount of processed sugar, but labels itself as healthy, or it says good source of vitamin C, and it's just vitamin fortified sugar. I mean, how do you expect families to eat healthy when they're trying to be health conscious even and they see these things on the front of the package? The average person in our society doesn't read the ingredients, and even if they did, they don't really understand how to interpret it properly. So basically, people get suckered into buying extremely unhealthy foods thinking that they're healthy because they say so on the label, when they're clearly not healthy if you know what health is and what healthy food actually is. Potato chips all day. People eat potato chips with everything. I mean, seriously, the list goes on. And then, of course, most people don't eat as much butter as vegans might make you think. Most people don't eat as much eggs as people might make you think. The average citizen doesn't eat as much saturated fat as you think. And the saturated fat that they eat usually comes from some type of fast food or processed meat of some kind. It might be coming from a steak. It might be coming from, 2 to 4 eggs in the morning. Probably the majority of saturated fat is coming from dairy, milk, some kind of milk product. And there's other problems with dairy that isn't related to the saturated fat. So, I mean, to me, I think it's... and then, of course, excess alcohol consumption. The list goes on. I mean, there's smoking and all sorts of things. And then, of course, inactivity. Like, please, look at all this. I mean, just listing all this, I'm, surprising myself. And yet we blame meat and animal products for, being the main contributor to our modern diseases. Who the fuck are you kidding? I'm not saying that meat and animal products are good for you. I'm saying that they're not as unhealthy as most people are trying to make them out to be. Okay? They're not as significant in the long run. For most people, if you just remove all these things that I mentioned, you're going to be preventing, at least 70 to 85% of our modern chronic diseases. Okay? Pesticides, obviously, I mean, unless you're an idiot, you should know that pesticides are not good for you, and eating, too much of them, probably not a good idea, especially if you have liver issues and your detoxification organs are not working properly. And of course, a lot of people are absolutely retarded and don't understand what these crazy people mean by, or not crazy people, but these, holistic nutritionists mean by detoxification. Anytime you say, oh, I'm going on a detox diet, or I'm taking these detox herbs, all that they really mean is they're using nutrition or an herb to support their body's natural detoxification mechanism. And when you do this, the body is able to more effectively remove what they call toxins, but basically pesticide residues, heavy metals, and other things from the body, okay? It's not like, oh, this herb magically detoxifies my body for me. No, these herbs are supposed to support the organs that detoxify. Just kind of think of it as like, you take laxatives and it helps your bowels move, okay? Just an example. Anyway, these pesticides, not good, okay? Not good. In fact, there are studies that show significant evidence that they can, cause cancer, and they do cause inflammation. And I mean, not to mention, if they weren't as bad as we think, then why are the people applying these pesticides wearing full body suits, and then they're still coming up with illnesses from spraying these crops? Most people don't look into this. And then GMOs. The problem with GMOs is that the majority of plants that are genetically modified are genetically modified to be resistant to pesticides. So it's like the only reason that we're genetically modifying some seeds is to be able to pour more pesticides on them. Does that sound like Monsanto or whatever cares about our health? No, it sounds like they're trying to maximize profits They're genetically modifying organisms to allow more pesticides to produce more product and reduce the amount of crops that are going to need to be thrown out because of pest infestation. So, GMOs and pesticides are probably not a good thing. And they are very commonly consumed in our modern diet. But even pesticides and GMOs, just like animal products, they're probably not the most significant thing, that people need to be removing. The main reason why people are dying and coming up with all these diseases and having blood sugar issues and being depressed is just because they're eating, certain things. The sugar, the sodas, the frozen food, the canned foods, the packaged foods, the fast foods, the fried foods, hydrogenated oils, margarine, imitation butter spreads. Baked goods, white flour, the hydrogenated oils and shortening that is in these baked goods with the white flour, processed sugar, fruit juice. Jesus Christ. And then they're not exercising and they hate their life and they're full of stress. Wow. And then not to mention pharmaceutical drugs. I have plenty of videos explaining this, but essentially it's not like, oh, it's artificial or it's a chemical or whatever. These drugs, by the mechanism of action, literally interfere with the natural metabolic processes of your body. Your body basically becomes confused. Your body tries to make adaptations to whenever you introduce a drug in the body tries to make adaptations to compensate for whatever process these drugs are interfering with. That should make sense to you. So, if you inhibit stomach acid, creates a domino effect. Ruins digestion, methylation, etc. And it sets off a whole cascade of effects in the body. If you take out the gallbladder, don't you think that's going to have a domino effect on the rest of your body? So modern medicine is most often used unnecessarily. There's usually nutritional interventions that can replace surgery, and that can replace commonly prescribed drugs like statin drugs, for example. But most people are on statin drugs. Most people get their freaking uterus removed. They get their testicles removed, their prostate removed, their spleen removed, and they get their gallbladder removed. They get all these things removed. Their tonsils removed, even though your tonsils are necessary for, they're a big part of your immune system. But lots and lots of things for me to say about all that. Point is, this is not healthy, and this is the average American or the average person in our modern society. So, man, when you think about all these things, please, really, the amount the significance of animal products on your health probably not going to make as big of a difference in the long run as all these other things. But for the average population that does all of these things, if they just cut out animal products, that would probably produce a significant result when you consider all these other things. So if they're drinking sodas and they're doing all this stuff, maybe removing animal products completely will make them healthier than if they had animal products. But probably not, because these other things are very, very severe with or without animal products. But so hopefully this makes sense. I've been making videos for over an hour now, so my brain's kind of fried. But this is the most important thing for people to consider when it comes to diet. Not only all these negative things people consume, but what about all the antioxidants? Most people do not consume fruits or vegetables, and if they do, it's very, very small amount. It's not nearly enough to counteract all the oxidative stress that these people are dealing with from their unhealthy diet. That's what antioxidants are for, countering inflammation and oxidative stress. But it's impossible. They've got so many unhealthy habits, so much sugar, and so many things they're consuming are producing so much oxidative stress. Even if you consumed a ton of antioxidants, it wouldn't be able to counteract the damage that you're doing with all this. The main principle of health is to reduce oxidative stress and damage and maximize nutritional benefit. That's all. You can eat a little bit of animal products, and as long as you're consuming adequate amounts of antioxidants. And then the quality of your animal products make a difference. But, if you're removing the vast majority of these things that I'm talking about here, and you avoid food intolerances, this could be grains, this could be dairy, this could be animal products, this could be plant products, but food intolerances are major. I had some really bad ones when I was vegan. These things will make you feel like crap. Okay, if you can't digest grains properly, you're going to feel like crap. Trust me. You're going to be bloated, you're going to have mental fog, you're going to be irritable, you're going to have mood swings. It's not good. No matter what the food intolerance is. So that's important. Once you eat a healthy diet, you're going to start to see that some healthy foods might not actually work for you. Beans, nuts and seeds, etc. Butter and dairy for me as well. But anyway, yeah, so really, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Go ahead and debate me if you want. I'd love to hear what you have to think. I think this is the most rational approach you can take. And there's a lot more that I can say about this, but my brain is almost dead, so I'm going to leave it at that. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave your questions down below. I'll reply in a video or in a comment. Share, like, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.